there is a time that you are feeling like you're burning out, or if it's a time that you're even starting to feel it and you want to pump the brakes so that I can reassess, like, is this where I want to be? Am I on the verge of burning out? Do I need to do something about it now? That you do take that time to assess if where you are is the right fit, or even if like you stayed there, what are the things that you could do differently? Hello and welcome to the Ambitious Woman of Color podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Lynn Rojas. Today we're talking about burnout, your growth, and the pressure ambitious women of color carry to constantly prove themselves at work. My guest is Evie Prete, a Latina salary negotiation coach and host of the Págame podcast. She helps women of color negotiate higher salaries, promotions, and opportunities from a place of self-worth instead of survival mode. In this conversation, we're unpacking why women of color burn out differently, how overworking is often tied to deeper conditioning around worth and safety, and what it actually looks like to build a successful career that doesn't cost you your health, your relationship, or peace. If you're exhausted from doing everything right and still feel like it's not enough, this episode's for you. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. And hi, Evie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jessica?
Good. So we are doing a podcast swap and we are in each other's podcast. So I'm so excited to do this. That way, my audience can hear more about Evie. If you remember, if you go back to my first episodes, you will see the episodes. So if you haven't already, please go back to the episode. I'll put it in the show notes and that way you could get to listen to another episode we had together. So for anyone new here, I am Jessica Rojas. I am a career and leadership coach for women of color, and I help women get into their first leadership role and grow in their career through promotion, getting a raise, getting the next level role without burning out and sacrificing your entire life to get there.
Yeah. And if you haven't heard about me, hi, my name is Evie. I also have a wonderful podcast episode with Jessica. It's episode 32, which is all about self-worth, salary, and soulmates. So if you kind of want to find that intersectionality, that's a great episode. I'll also include it in the show notes so that y'all can go ahead and listen. I am a salary negotiation and self-worth coach. I work with women, especially women of color, on how to really step into like owning their value and how to articulate their value when they go for roles on LinkedIn and a lot of other strategic things. So if you're someone who moves, if you feel like this shock factor with even thinking about asking for more, that's kind of like the work that I get to do with my clients.
And she is so amazing. Yes, I just like love her ethos and just like her approach on salary negotiation because it is all about like your self-worth. It's not so much of like, I'm going to ask for more just because I want to, but it's like you deserve to make more money. You deserve to be paid what you bring to the table. And oftentimes for Latinas, women of color, like that is something we were never taught to do. And if
Yeah,
anything, are always like discouraged from doing. So I love the work that
absolutely.
you do.
No, same for you too, because like you're such a strategic leader and it shows. I'm like, I just like love your vibe too. So I'm just super excited to collaborate more with you. So excited to be here.
Yeah. So for today, we are talking about burnout. And this was like part of both of our story. We both had episodes where we burned out. And that really was the catalyst for both of us to like really reassess where we were in our career and what were we willing to sacrifice. And that's like kind of the key for like my listeners. Like one of the key things we always talk about is like, what are your non-negotiables? What do you refuse to sacrifice for your career? And that is something that is so important for us to establish early on in our career if possible. But yeah, so today is about like learning why women of color especially are prone to burning out, our story of like what really was the reason we reassessed everything in our career and how it actually our career like grew even exponentially when we decided to put ourselves first.
Absolutely. Okay. So we talked a little bit about how we both moved through burnout. So Jessica, I'm curious to hear like your story. Like when did you realize you were burnt out? Because I'll share my story after you, but I'm curious to see like, how did you know when you burnt out? Like, did you even know, was it looking back? Like, I'm curious to hear your story.
Yeah, so for me, the way that it manifested, it was around anxiety and depression because I had always worked hard and had times where, my mental health was impacted, but it was never the way that it happened then, or at least like I had an episode in college and then I never
Mm,
had that again. Like, yes, I had moments where I was working too much and maybe I was sleep deprived, but that was like a lot of like exhaustion and like physical manifestation of it. But it was never like to the point where it was like hitting rock bottom or really, really bad that I needed to make like a life changing change.
mm,
But the moment for me was it was my first consulting job after grad school. And I wouldn't say that it was so much that I was working too many hours. Yes, I was putting in, a lot of hours, but it had to do more about the environment I was in and then the
mhm,
need to overprove.
mm,
And it was a lot of mental exhaustion. So, like, the physical piece was there, but it was more about how it was making my nervous system feel and
yeah,
how it was making my mind feel. And just a combination of all that just overwhelmed my body. Every single day, I woke up with anxiety. Like, it never went away. I would
yeah,
wake up with anxiety. I had anxiety all day, go to bed with anxiety. And it was like that for several months. And a lot of it was because I was in an environment that they weren't other Latinas there. And if they were, women of color, they were not really the ones that I interacted with, and they were not in the positions that I was in. So I was in rooms with executives, with doctors, with scientists, with like people in prestigious backgrounds. And here I am, like fresh out of grad school, like feeling like an imposter because I was in a very complex environment. I was working in oncology. So I
mm,
knew a lot about the healthcare system and I had worked in the healthcare system, but it was like a new subject for me.
yeah,
And being just in this space with these people and just feeling like I had to prove that I belong there. So it wasn't just like work harder so that you can show that you were right for this role, but it's like
mm,
on top of that, you have to prove that you belong there. And then on top of that, you have to be analytical. And on top of that, you have to be up to par with, thoughts and perspectives and analysis. And that just got really exhausting.
yeah,
And at the time, I had a boss that was like a temporary boss for me. And she was
mhm,
not very supportive because she had all of this pressure on her. And then
mhm,
she like put that pressure on me. And then she didn't like that I didn't approach things the same as her, that we didn't have the same perspectives.
mhm,
And that made me feel like there was something wrong with me. I mean, she even went on to question my intelligence. She's like, we were working on a project together, and she's like, the way that I was approaching it, she's like, you're not strategic enough. And I'm just like,
mm,
oh my God, did you really just say that? Because I was
mm,
already feeling
yeah.
like small in that environment. And like on top of that, now I'm like, am I the problem?
Yeah, and especially when you're starting to go through burnout and you're feeling that because you're already like, "Man, like, I feel like I suck right now," and then you get
Yes.
that reinforcement from, like, in this case, your manager, it does make you question, like, "Oh my god, am I the problem?" Because I experienced something, like, kinda similar. So, for me, what was going on in my life was, like, a lot. I look back and I'm like, "Girl, how did you fucking do that?" Oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here. I'm sorry,
That's
we can
okay.
bleep that out. But I actually so in 2024, I started a new job. Um, and it was like at a startup, it was like cutting edge technology. I was so excited for this. And it was going to be a high pressure role because I was going to be the first program or project manager at this company. So I knew it was going to be demanding. At
Hmm.
this time, I was already questioning my marriage and, like, I think 2 months into this job, I ended up, like, leaving my marriage. So that ended, and then I was in this new job, and I'm trying to move through really high technical, like, fast-paced environments, where I was, like, the only woman on the team when it come to,
Hmm.
like, kinda leadership, and, I didn't really notice because I was so busy all the time. I was working like 60-hour work weeks. I was like really trying to drive like really complex contractual things, programmatic things, technical
Hmm.
problems, just so many things at work. And then on top of that, like we were kind of a startup. So moving through the very strong personalities that usually
Hmm.
are in those spaces of, technology or engineering, and I kinda got to this point, like, I did a really good job, like, kind of moving fast pace, even with my life kind of falling apart with my marriage ending, and it wasn't until, like, a year later that I kind of started to feel these things that for me, I was just like, what is
Mm.
happening? So I started to, one, I'm an early riser. Like I stopped naturally waking up early. I felt like I had like no energy. I'm the girly who's like, I'm doing triathlons, I'm doing jujitsu. Like I'm always outside, I'm always moving. And I had like no energy to go run, no energy to do anything. I kind of like started to self-isolate and just like not reach out to friends. I started like binge watching shows a lot more than normal, which there's nothing wrong with it, but for my norm, it was like
But it
very
wasn't you.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And then like for me, it was like I always want to put my best foot forward. And I noticed I just kind of started not caring, which for me was a big sign of something's wrong. And I was already like extremely exhausted. And then I wasn't supported at work. I had been trying to vocalize that we needed at least 2 more PMs to work with me. By the time we finally hired them, it was too late because I had hit absolute burnout. And I wasn't like even showing up to work on time. Like it literally cost me so much energy. And this is not normal for me. And I was just like, oh my God, am I actually just bad at my job? Like it was really hard. And I had this moment, like you mentioned, like anxiety and depression. And I was like, I think I'm like there because I've experienced depression before in different times of my life. This one, I was like, yeah, there's definitely something going on. I went to the doctor and expressed what was going on. And she was the one who was like, you literally have textbook burnout. And I explained what my working environment was. And the best part, I don't know if it's the best part, the worst part about this is like, right as I'm questioning myself and my worth and being like, what's wrong with me? I had something at work happen where I was on a meeting. Jessica, this is crazy. I was on a meeting with senior executives and one of the directors made a comment about my naked body on this call. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And in the moment, it happened so quickly and like, you just do not expect that I just like kind of like pivoted really quickly because I just didn't know what else to do. My fight or flight was just like, just ignore it. Oh, and so I like pivoted the call the rest of the way. And then after the call, I got off and I had just met with my doctor like 2 days before. My doctor
Mm-hmm.
was like, you need to take FMLA, which is Family and Medical Leave Act, to take some time off. And I was like unsure because we were moving through so much at work. This happened 2 days later. And I was just like, I literally need to put myself first because like I don't feel respected. I feel violated right now. And
Yes.
I like, reached out to HR and let them know what happened. I documented. And that for me was just like, you know what? F this place. Like I need to put my
Mm-hmm.
mental health first. Like I'm not taking seriously here. I'm not respected. Why am I going to push so hard for a place that like literally I'm trying to claw and like belong in, right? Especially as a woman, especially as a woman of color in like, innovative technology and engineering. So that was like kind of for me the thing that broke the camel's back. And I took FMLA and then we can like go on from there because I feel like you might have had a similar um like reaction. I don't know if you like took FMLA or if you
Yeah.
like
Well,
if you like left
no,
or you're
push through.
oh girly, that's crazy.
But I think like for us, like I feel
Yeah.
like you were definitely, I wasn't putting 60 hours a week. And that is what I wanted to normalize because
Mhm.
that, you see, that is what I didn't think I was burned out because I'm like, okay, yes, I'm working more, but I'm not working crazy hours.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's what we need to normalize. That it's not just like, oh, you need to stop overworking, take a break. No, I mean, what you did, that was definitely needed. And I think that
Mhm.
I definitely could have taken a break or should have,
Mhm.
but I didn't even realize this was burnout because
Yeah.
I had been in environments, I worked in campaign before where I put 60 hours to, I worked in those environments where I put that much time
Yeah.
and I didn't burn out. I was
Yeah.
exhausted, don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
should have not been working that much, but it was like I knew that okay, we're just doing it for this period of time and then we're
Yeah.
going to have a break and then it's fine. But
Yeah.
in this situation, it wasn't so much that I was working more hours, it
Yeah.
was the environment and the like mental, the anxiety, like
Yeah.
the body,
Yeah. You didn't have like
and that
psychological safety, girly.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly.
that on
Yeah.
top, it just like, if you even think about like sometimes when you are in a situation like that where like, lacking psychological safety in a
Mhm.
place that you are constantly on edge and you see like how draining that is, like that really takes a lot of your energy. So
Yeah.
physically, I felt worn out. But
Mhm.
I wasn't like working crazy hours. So
Yeah.
again, that's what I thought burnout was, right? So
Mhm.
I didn't even at all associate like I'm burned out or anything. For me, it
Mhm.
happened where I just couldn't live that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like literally I couldn't live that. I mean, not in the wishing death kind of thing, but
Yeah.
more like, okay, this is not normal. This is not okay. I had never been diagnosed with depression in the past, so I didn't even think, anything like that because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm functioning. I wake up, I still do the things that I need to do. I'm functioning. So it's not,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I'm depressed or anything.
Yeah.
But it was so bad that I was like, okay, I need help. And
Yeah.
I've dealt with anxiety in the past and always managed it by myself and never got on
Mm.
medication. But it was to the point that I'm like, I'm willing to do anything to not
Yeah.
feel this way
Yeah.
because it freaked me out. I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
understand how it was possible to like experience this level of dysregulation
Yeah.
like for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I called my EAP because I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just called EAP. And for those of you that are not familiar with that, I want to say that all organizations should be providing this is an employee assistance program.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
called them and then I'm like, I need help. I don't know what I'm experiencing. I think it's related to mental health or physical health, but a lot of it was physical. So
Mhm.
again, it's like I only knew that it's related to mental health because I've been dealing with anxiety. But it was
Yeah.
like I had a lot of physical, like it manifested in like insomnia. I couldn't sleep,
Yeah.
like tingling sensations,
Yeah.
like my just, heart palpitation,
Yeah.
having moments that I couldn't breathe, like panic attacks, like that's how it manifested.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of that physical stuff. So I call
Yeah.
EAP and I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just been dealing with like debilitating anxiety is what I was calling it because I
Yeah.
I didn't know another way to describe it. So
Yeah.
they're like, okay, like this was back in 2019, I believe. So it was still we were in person. And they were like, okay, do you have time today to come in to our office to do like a screening? So I made an appointment for that day and uh, one of the caseworkers that is the one that does the screening and then they did, for anxiety and depression, everything. And she's like, oh, you have depression. And I'm like, but I wake up every day fine. I still do my work. And in my mind, depression was like, you in bed, you don't want to do anything, you're disengaged, like what you
Yeah.
had,
Like what
right?
yeah, like what I was describing. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
describing, and a lot of times, that is like a way that you know that you're burnt out too. Like if you're
Mhm.
experiencing when you're no longer interested in doing the things that you like to do, or you're
Mhm.
disconnected from the work that you used to like before.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. To me,
Mhm.
it's like I want to do a good job. I want to do good at work.
Yeah.
But I'm just in a place where I just don't like, I don't even feel physically well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I had that appointment. I did the screening, and then they're like, you have depression and that it's high functioning depression. And
Yeah.
then, the anxiety, which we already knew. So then I scheduled an appointment with my PCP. And one of the recommendations that the caseworkers there is like, have you ever taken medication? Because it
Mhm.
sounds like you would be like that's may be the right approach. Obviously, talking to your PCP and everything. But, prior to that, I was always like anti, medication for anxiety or depression because it was just like, I don't want to be depending on it my whole life. Right. And
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of this is like from our culture,
Yeah.
right? Like mental health is such a taboo. And
Yeah, it's so
you're
taboo.
like, you don't want to be, taking medication your whole life. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, it's going to change how I am. I'm going to be numb. I'm going to have no emotions.
Yeah. 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 No, I hear you, girly. And when you said that, it reminded me of something because, like, so, like, I ended up going on FMLA. So I, like, took, I think it was, like, in the state of Washington, it gave me 3 months of, like, paid leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was, like, honestly, I didn't even know it was available. I, like, literally was just like, I need something. My doctor helped me. And, like, I'm so grateful to her. But, like, I told my mom that I was gonna be, like, taking this, and I mentioned to her, she knew I was, like, really stressed out. I call her, and she was just
Mm-hmm.
kinda like, "You should just leave, you should leave, like, I don't know why you're there," you know? And so I go on FMLA, and like, so you're describing, like, high cortisol. My body was holding a
Mm-hmm.
lot of high cortisol too. I think our bodies were just reacting differently, and
React
that's the thing
differently.
is, like,
Yeah.
yeah, burnout can look so different to every person. The first 3 weeks was just, like, I was literally slept like 14, 16-hour days, you know? Like, I did nothing and I just
Wow.
slept. And then after, like, my body was just, like, so tight. It wasn't until, like, 4 weeks in that I finally my body stopped being so, Like, it literally physically ached, and I wasn't even, like I was like, I'm a triathlon athlete. I wasn't even doing anything. It was just, like,
Yeah.
so from holding all the tension in my body, and, I was just tired all the time, and I remember, like, uh, after, like, 4 or 5 weeks, my body started to kinda, like, relax, and it, like, what's it called? Say? Like, it got rid of all the cortisol,
Yeah.
but then I slowly was, like, trying to, like, walk more. I was trying to, like, do more things to bring me joy, read, and different things, but when I was exhausted, I remember, like, I was on the phone with my mom, and she was just kinda like, "How are you feeling? You should be feeling much better." It's, like, 3 weeks into FMLA, and I'm like, "Mom, like, I'm so exhausted." And in Spanish, she was like joked. She made a joke and she was like, "I bet, like, you're so tired from doing nothing." And I could have, like, totally taken that personally, but for a moment, I was just like I had to paint the picture for her, you know? And my mom knows I mean, I have, like, a podcast, I have a business, you know, like,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love to, like, do all these crazy things, and I was like, "Mom, like"
It's a different level.
I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Mom, I'm literally like, I can't even get up to go for a walk." And, like, I'm in bed until, like, 2 p.m., and I'm the type of person who's, like, up by 6. And it wasn't until I said that my mom was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know that, like, people could get this sick or that people could get this, like, tired," you know? And it took me a moment to, like, kind of show her that's how it's impacting me, for her to be like, "Oh my god, like, my high functioning daughter who, like, does, like, a million things, like, can't even wake up until 2 p.m." And it was a moment for her to be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You're right. Like, I shouldn't be making fun of this," you know? And
Mhm.
it's kinda like we're going back to, like, the cultural taboo where, like and I think it's a good segue into, like, the next theme, but it's
Yes.
like our parents, like my mom is so used to overfunctioning, so used to working so much, so used to defining her worth by her productivity, that woman will never sit down. Like, even if we're in a
Oh,
family
you're
function.
describing my mom.
Exactly. She's just like, she's like, "I'm gonna go wash the dishes." I'm like, "No, we can chill." She's like, "No, I have to be doing something because like, that's how her brain works." And so this is a great segue, but, like, what do you think is some of, like, the conditioning that makes women, or especially women of color, more vulnerable to burnout?
Yeah, I mean, what it is, like you just named it, is we associate resting with laziness. And
Mhm.
is because like you said, our parents, they had to work hard to show their worth, especially if they immigrated to this country, what the life you had in your country. And a lot, of our parents maybe had like full on careers, or, maybe they came young while they were in school, but they were pursuing something else. And then they came here and they had to start from zero. So
Mhm.
then now it's like the only thing that I could do is show my worth through work. And then you're still probably not making enough. But then we, as first generation, grow up seeing our parents working really hard. They're not making enough money. So it's like, okay, if they had more jobs, then maybe like 3, 4 jobs, then maybe they make more money. So then we associate needing to put in lots of hours to make more money. And
Mhm.
then, we have a lot of more privilege. So if we're like sitting, or I don't know how it is with you, like growing up, if you were sitting, you could be doing something. There's always something to do. Siempre hay algo que hacer,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like at least like I grew up in a household where my mom did everything and I didn't do anything. But it
Mhm.
was because she like enjoyed doing that for us. But there were many times I was called lazy, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, no, and I think, like, that's exactly kind of like my upbringing too, where it's just like we see our parents work super hard and they are like, I talk about this a lot, but, like, they're afraid, because they come from a different
Mhm.
upbringing where, like, for them, risk was like they couldn't pay the rent. Risk to them was
Mhm.
couldn't feed their
Like
children.
like literal survival.
Literal survival. So for them, like, they of course, they're not going to lean into asking to get paid better rates or better wages, right? This is not something that was, like, of practice to them, but also they're just trying to, like, head down, make it in this country, starting from 0. So for us, like you mentioned, it is a privilege, but we grew up seeing that, and so we're conditioned to, like, I'm just gonna, like, get my raise by putting my head down and working hard and waiting until I get noticed. And that's just, like,
Mhm.
not the way that things work in this country. And, like, it is a different mindset to be like, "No, like, I'm actually here's the value I bring. This is, like, a fair rate. Like, let's talk about, like, something that's, aligned with my skill set better when it comes to, like, addressing the gap in compensation." But, yeah, I feel like it is, like, kind of the cultural influence and, like, our upbringings can make us feel like we have to work harder, and that we're not allowed to rest or that rest is weak. And I had a really what's the word? really reframed that when I went through my FMLA and took time off. And when I came back a very different person. But we can talk about that later in
But
the
even
podcast.
that, like, for some people, and maybe you experience this, the fact that you're like, I'm getting paid to not work, you still have that guilt.
I definitely felt like, what's the word? Maybe not lazy. In the beginning, I would felt like I did feel guilty. I felt guilty. I felt like, oh, this doesn't feel good because I'm not working for it, you know?
Hmm. And yeah, and that's like a major theme. And I mean, I experienced that. And like, that's why I'm like, I can name it and say that because
Yeah.
and then when we're like, or I don't know if you ever felt this, but the moment that you start feeling like, I make triple what my parents make doing less work or
Mhm.
physical labor, doing less
Mhm.
physical
Mhm.
labor, right?
Mhm.
And then that makes you feel guilty. I
Mhm.
should be, at least for me, I should be better with my money when my mom made it work with
Mm.
like the little that she made. And
Yeah.
she made everything work. I don't know how.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's, like, a lot of guilt there, and also it's, like,
Mhm.
sometimes, like, your upbringing might be on one end of the spectrum, and then when you get money this is, like, all money psychology, but, like, you
Mhm.
might be on the other end where just, like, you're like, for me, like, when I first got my first paycheck, it was making my money as an engineer, and I was already, like, out-earning my parents, like, combined, even at early
Mhm.
career. I never had money. So, like, I went the opposite way, like, grew up super poor, right? Grew up super low income and disadvantaged, and then, like, all of a sudden, I was like, I didn't know how to keep money, and so, like, I was almost afraid to have money 'cause I wasn't sure if I could keep it, and so I would, like, buy shit oh, sorry. I would buy things that I didn't need, buy things that, like, really were just filling this void. I was using money as a way to, like, but yeah, it's just, like, crazy how your mental health plays into everything and your upbringing, how it can, like, shape your behavior, shape your decisions, shape how
Yeah.
you see rest, shape how you see, um, help. Like, FMLA
Yeah.
is a form of assistance and help.
Yeah.
Both of us are moving through, like, the guilt around that, right?
Yeah. So going back to the question of like why for women of color is like so everything comes down to conditioning why we burn out because we were taught that we needed to prove our worth. We're not worthy on our own, right? We need to prove our worth. That is what's instilled in us.
Yeah.
We are also trained to go for safety. Go for the
Mhm.
job that's going to give you stability and dependable money. So
Mhm.
don't go for the higher paying job, maybe in sales or
Mhm.
maybe entrepreneurship or maybe anything that means that you don't have like constant money coming in because that equals like unsafe environment, right?
Yeah.
So go for the job. Be grateful that you even got the opportunity.
Yeah.
So these are the things I'm not saying that this is correct, but I'm saying these
Right,
are the
right.
things that we learn. Be grateful that you got the opportunity, put your head down and work really hard and show them you're the best at it, but not show them you're the best with your visibility, with your presence, with your leadership. No,
Mm.
show them by your hard work, sweat, hard work.
Yeah, sweat, tears, and blood, you know? And
Yes.
you mentioned something, and I wanna bring this up because it's so related, but, like, this is, like, the number one fear that a lot of my clients have, which is, like, they think more money means more work. They're like, "No, I
Hmm.
can't go for that job because it's so high paying that it's gonna be more work." And I'm like and kinda going to your point, it's like, maybe this job requires more strategy and leadership, which is a different kind of skill, so it doesn't look like more work, it's just more strategy. But, so
Hmm.
then people are, like, shying away from these higher salary bands because they're like, more money means more work, you know?
But part of it too, more money means more work for them because they're like, I need to work extra hard to show them that I was
Exactly.
worth that much money.
Exactly.
Because that's what I've see that a lot of people that they have the problem with, like, when I get a job offer in negotiation, and I'm sure you see this all the time with your clients, right? And
Mhm,
I'm saying it from experience, from what I experience and what, I've seen clients too, is that
mhm.
it's like, if I'm asking for this much money, I need to prove I can deliver.
Yep,
And,
yep.
and, and of course that you can, but I'm saying it's like that means I need to work twice as hard, three times as
Yeah,
hard to like
yeah.
be worthy of that extra 20K.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it goes back to, like, more money means more work, and it just,
Hmm.
it's so crazy that we're all, like, kinda moving through unlearning this, and it makes sense because of our cultural upbringings and stuff, but I love that we're hitting on these themes because this is exactly why women of color I would say people of color, especially women, burnout because women also have the hidden tax in their households. If they're
Mhm.
partnered, if they're married, if they have kids, even in pretty equitable relationships, a lot of the burden at home is put on the women. So they're not only trying to show up in their careers, make more money at work, trying to hold a place together, their teams together, then they go home and hold their own families or homes together. And many times if you're like the eldest daughter or the responsible daughter in your house in your family, you might be holding like your family, like your mom, your dad, your siblings together. So there's a lot of hidden work for women, especially women of color, on top of moving through their careers. So it's like that's why I really believe like women are seeing much higher burnout rates than like why women of color are seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, around that, what you just said of all of the hidden work, and we're taught, when you say that, we think the physical, right? The physical work. But okay, let's add that, right? We're gonna say that they are putting in like an extra 10 hours on all that, like of time. But what about the mental? Like now I have to worry about my aging parent because I'm the retirement. Now I
Yeah.
have to worry about my sibling who's, maybe having financial trouble and I need to be the one at the end of
Yeah.
the day that's going to like save them.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to, make sure to take care of my kid or whatever the situation is
Yeah.
like not only are you talking about the like physical, or time that they're taking, but now we're
Yeah.
talking about the mental. And this is going back to normalizing that the mental things that you carry are also what takes deplete you, what also
Mhm.
would can cause the burnout, not just the working too much and I just need to go on vacation or take a break and then I'm going to be all better.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like I think that a lot of us have experienced, especially for people who have burned out multiple times, is that just because you took a break or just because you took a vacation, when you come back, it's going to happen again because you don't address the reason of why it happened in the first place.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say, like, this is such a good point, and I think this really, like, kinda connects to, like, what has burnout taught you about career growth? Like, after you went through that, like, what did you learn from about your worth and your work? Like, in returning back from, like, in your case, your environment and, like, moving through the cognitive load, being operating, highly functioning and operating in a environment that didn't provide you psychological safety, that was, like, a lot to carry. So how did you, like what did you learn from that, and how did you, like, change? If like, what changes do you make in your career and life?
Yeah, so for me, actually, like, so I was an entire year in this situation. And then finally, after the medication set in, because I had to go on medication, maybe the first 3 months were struggling and like adjusting to that. But once it finally, and I was like, for those of you who are ever on the fence, if that is the best resort for you, if that's the best like step for you, do it. Like, do not do it because of the stigma and everything. But like one thing that I was like, after I felt better, I was so glad that I did it because like I was finally feeling like me again. So I would just say that if that's a place that you're ever in, then please do what's best for you and whatever is going to help you to be yourself and be in a place that you can make those decisions. So once I was in that place where I was like, okay, I'm in this environment and clearly this is not a place where I feel like I'm going to thrive, but I didn't decide to leave. Yet I wanted to be strategic about my next move. I really reassessed like what did I want my next move to be? Because like one of the things I didn't want to do, I didn't just want to like quit and not have a plan. So I decided, okay, if I'm going to, like, my next move needs to be strategic. It needs to be the right move for me. So I decided to stay another year there, actually. But I just changed how I did everything. Like, I really was like, okay, I'm no longer overproving that I need to belong in this space. I was like, who are the people that are going to be like my allies here? Who are the people that I need to be working with that are going to be the ones, because clearly if it wasn't at the time like the boss that I had, I mean later on I had a new boss who was great. So I needed to like find other ways to at least like figure out my next move, but also the time that I was there, make sure that it was the best of it. So my one thing was like I was putting me and my health first. So my mental health and my well-being first. So that meant like setting boundaries about like work. I started working from home like once or twice a week, started seeing like what were ways that I could focus on what I was doing at work and focusing on like the quality of my work instead of like the proving myself. So it was like, okay, what are ways that I could be visible around other people that are going to be like supporting my growth? And all this time, I'm trying to think about like what is going to be my next move because I was like, I'm either not going to stay in this department and go look somewhere else within the organization. But then at the time, I think within 6 months of this, there was an opportunity for a leadership development program that would bring me back to California. And because I was living in Boston at this time. So I was like, okay, like I have a lot of work experience here that it would be like a really great thing to like transition because I was working in healthcare delivery at the time. It would be a great way to transition to health insurance for a major, organization in California. So I did this. I interviewed. They flew me to Sacramento, interviewed, and then I got the opportunity. And then I started 6 months later. So I wanted my next move to be strategic.
Yeah.
It to be not like, I'm not just gonna quit and get another job where I'm gonna experience the same thing and be in those
Right.
same environments. I was like, "Okay, this is what I need from this new place. I need to be, like, in an environment that I feel is collaborative, an environment that I feel that I'm gonna be supported in my growth, an
Yeah.
environment that gives me that work-life balance and flexibility." And this time I mean, I had already negotiated with, like, that last job I did negotiate. But this time I'm gonna negotiate more because I deserve more. And because
Yeah.
like now I know what I am capable of doing, right? So
Yeah.
long story short, within so that was like an entire year. Then I started the leadership development program and the pandemic hit. So I didn't
Mm.
even have to be like working in an office because I was supposed, going to be working hybrid
Yeah.
environment. And then now it was like all work from home. I had the most amazing work life balance. Like the company I was working for, like really made an effort, especially during the pandemic, for us to have the support in the systems and everything that we needed so that,
Mm.
especially for those that had kids at home and families at home, that you're still able to do your work well and still like have the support from the teams. And we had so much flexibility that it was amazing. And then I finally made
Yeah.
6 figures. So
I love that. I love that. It's like crazy when you move through something like that, how much you like you literally das. Like, you literally get to
Mhm.
this point of, like, "I'll never accept that again," you know? And
Yes.
yeah, so I love that you were just like, "No, I'm gonna be strategic. I'm putting the boundaries in place to, like, move through this and keep myself protect my peace, and we're gonna work towards that next strategic move, and I'm gonna make sure that I align all my non-negotiables, that all the things that I value, I get in this next role." And I'm just so proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Um,
And just to say that that has continued and my career has only grown more, just to like normalize that just because, you think that you have to put in more hours to make more money. I've been making a lot more money and I do not work ever more than 40 hours a week, ever.
yeah. Yeah, I love this. This is like this is gold here. I would say that my experience was also very similar. So, like, I came back from FMLA and I came back like a new person, like, kinda like what you're saying. I'm not working 60-hour work weeks anymore. Like, people would always come to me at the end of the day, be like, "Hey, I have a quick question." Never a quick question. And I started to, like, implement better boundaries. So, like, "Hey, can I pick your brain for 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Yes, but I have a hard stop at 4 o'clock." And then it would be, like, 3:59, and then 4 hits. I'm like, "Hey, let's pick this up tomorrow morning." And they look at me like, "Are you joking?" And, but I had to train people that I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
just not available anymore like I used to be," you know? So I started implementing better boundaries. I started like escalating things to leadership. I'm like, "Hey, you need to give me a priority because right now these are what's you're telling me. I can't do this all with my bandwidth. So you need to let me know what the priority is." So I started like managing up and making sure that they were making decisions because I was making those strategic decisions but not getting paid for it. And I was like, "Nope. This is your job. You can give me the priority and I'll execute it, make it happen. But I'm no
Hmm.
longer going to like step into this role because of my mental capacity and I'm not getting paid for this." And then I knew also that like I also was just like, this is not the environment that I want to continue working in. So I was already like on the back end preparing to, optimizing my LinkedIn, thinking about what kind of environments I wanted to be in, what kind of
Hmm.
technology I wanted to work on. I already started thinking about that. Within like a month of returning back to work from FMLA, I got laid off and I negotiated my severance and I had already saved a bunch of money because I knew I wanted to, the next time I had a career gap, I knew
Hmm.
I wanted to travel. And it really like I could have been upset about it, and instead I was like, thank goodness, because I actually need a break. Because I was the universe being like, no,
Yeah.
take your break. Don't
Yes.
just go into a new job. So I did, I took my little eat, pray, love through Mexico and South America for like 3 months, and then came back super refreshed. Took my time. I was like, let me work on my podcast and my coaching, and then let me like take my time and thinking about what I want to go back to work in. And what's crazy is that like got laid off in August of 2025, had money to hold me over to travel and just like rest and chill. And like I did stand up comedy. I was training again for triathlons. I started doing, boxing again. And I only decided like April 15th was okay, like I feel like I'm ready and I'm going to start looking. And I literally just like, I don't mass apply because that's like not the strategy I teach my clients.
Yes. Same,
I,
same, same.
yeah,
Intentional.
intentional. So I found like my little intentional places that were very aligned with my core values, very aligned with the life I want to build. Jessica, I applied to this job through a colleague that I knew. I messaged him about it on LinkedIn like Tuesday. By Wednesday afternoon, I had an interview set up for the following Monday. The Monday interview went really well. I had my final round this upcoming Monday. And like, this was like the call with these 4 individuals and the interview, it went so well that it was like, sometimes when you're in spaces that aren't good for you, you start to think better is not out there. And
Hmm.
I just wouldn't, I relentlessly was like, nope. Like, I know the work environment I want. I know the work balance I want. The
Hmm.
technology that I want to work on exists for me. I just need to be very intentional and make sure that I turn down the sexy roles with the high pay or whatever, or sexy roles with the high tech, the really great technology down for my aligned values. And I finally found a spot that pays really well. They're like, literally, we're like, we'll never ask you to work over 40 hours a week. Like, we don't believe in that. Like, they're like the number one company in Washington, state of Washington to work for, in terms of the best work-life balance. So I was like, see, unicorns do
Yes.
exist. Like, and it's like, you have to prove that to yourself by making sure that you align with your core values. And so I'm like so excited about my interview on Monday. And like in my heart, I like know it's like mine, but I'm still like preparing for it. Like it's, just, but, and it's so
Like being
beautiful to be,
detached.
yeah, exactly, being detached. But it's just like, it's so beautiful that like I'm here considering where I was a year ago. Considering that a year ago, I was in the middle of my FMLA, just like wondering what the heck I was doing with my life, feeling really bad about taking rest. And now I'm like, wow, I'm excited about this role. I'm like truly refreshed. And it's just like a beautiful place to be. So it's like kind of
Full
like a
circle.
roundabout way, full circle of like how we can come back stronger and stronger self-worth and with stronger boundaries, with stronger alignment in our careers and life, even after something like burnout.
Yes. Yes. No, I love that for you. Because it's just going to continue going up forward from there. And like what you said, and I think a lot of us fall into that trap of like, let me just go for the one. If what I need is more money, let me go for the one with more money, but I'm going to have to sacrifice here. Like,
Hmm.
and I love how you trusted in yourself and you trusted in God or universe or, you trusted that you were going to find the right place that paid well and met your non-negotiables because we don't
Yeah.
have to like it's not necessary to have to sacrifice everything. There is something out there that is
Hmm.
going to meet those things for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we already worked in an environment where it's like maybe the pay was there, but like
Yes, but
the
it's not
balance
worth it.
wasn't. It's not
It
worth
is
it.
not worth it.
No.
I've talked to so many women who they left a higher paying job for something where they made less, but they were more happy. Not to say that you shouldn't,
Yeah.
and not to
We're
say
always
that
going
the
to advocate
money,
for the
we're
most
always
pay.
going to
Yeah.
advocate exactly.
Always.
But it's like, is that extra 20K worth your sanity?
Mm.
If that's like why sometimes those they pay a lot more in some places, maybe because it's like we're using that as like, you see, you're getting paid more here, so you should be jumping when I say jump, or you should be working all
Yeah.
these extra hours because you're making good money.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people at like, some of these big tech companies that get paid really well, they're like they work so hard because they're tied to the same idea of like, oh, because I get paid more,
Golden
I have to
handcuffs.
golden handcuffs. Yeah. So we're always gonna say ask for more money. So don't
Yes,
take away
yes.
that we're
So I'm
saying take
yeah,
the
so
lower
yeah, so
role.
we're not saying take the lower paying job because that means you're gonna work less or it's gonna be less stressful. No, because there are also jobs
Low
that
paying
pay
jobs
you
that
low
are
paying jobs that are burning you out too. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what we hope that you take from this is one is that you might not think what you're experiencing is burnout.
Yeah.
Like listen to your intuition. if you feel like something is wrong, and it doesn't even need to be labeled anything, if you feel like this is not how I should be living and how I should be feeling,
Mhm.
like really dig into that and get the
Yeah.
help that you need and take advantage of the programs or the FMLA or those things are there for you to use when you need them. So do it and don't
Hmm.
feel guilty about it and know that they
Hmm.
are there for you. They are part of your whole package.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that, our story and our crazy talk like help you to like know that if there is a time that you are feeling like you're burning out, or if it's a time that you're even starting to feel it and you want to like, okay, let me, pump the brakes so that I can reassess like, is this where I want to be? Am I, on the verge of burning out? Do I need to do something about it now? That you do take that time to assess if where you are is the right fit, or even if like you stayed there, what are the things that you could do differently? Because the solution is not always leaving, because that's
Yeah.
not going to solve the root cause of why you burn out in the first place. Not to say that you should stay in an environment that's toxic, not to say that you should stay in an environment that doesn't value you, but first, like, think about like what are the things that you can change about what you're doing. And then
Hmm.
if the solution is leaving, then be strategic about it, not just
Hmm.
leave
Hmm.
because you're desperate, or not just leave because I mean, unless that is what you truly need, and we support that as well. But just
Yeah.
be like mindful of what it is that you need next and like trusting yourself, and you're going to know the answer.
Yeah. And if I have to say one thing, I would say rest for us, rest for people who are first generation, rest for people who come from immigrant backgrounds. Rest is revolutionary for women like us. That's why rest feels resistance. That's why you feel it in your body. That's why you think I'm lazy when I take rest, or that I should be doing something else. And I want to invite you that you don't have to prove that you deserve rest. Like, rest is radical for women like us, and really leaning into rest and giving yourself time to relax is actually going to help you, one, kind of like what Jessica's saying, like align with like what's truly your heart's intention,
Mhm.
and like make it more clear and give you more clarity around like what actually are your core values, and then to move from that place, that grounded place, instead of the like survival place. So if you're someone who's just like, man, like rest, that sounds dope, but also like that's not for me, this is especially why this episode that we put together is for you.
Well, thank you
Amazing.
all for being here with us. This is so exciting and really a fun conversation. And I hope that you get a lot of, motivation, inspiration, and some of the practical strategies we threw in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was so great sharing our experiences. I just love, just hanging out with you, Jessica. Honestly, like I feel like we always have great themes and topics. So thank you for making time to spend here with me.
Yes, thank you too. Career Baddies, if this episode resonated, I want you to really pay attention to that. If you've been feeling exhausted all the time, anxious before work, emotionally numb, constantly overthinking, or like your career is taking more out of you than it's giving back, that matters. And if part of you keeps thinking, maybe I just need to push through, I want you to know burnout is not proof that you're ambitious enough. You don't need to earn success by running yourself into the ground, and you don't need to figure this out alone. Inside 101 Coaching, that's the work we work on together. First, we get clear what's actually draining you. Not just your workload, but the pressure to constantly prove yourself, overperform, carry everyone else's expectation, and stay in environments that leave you depleted. So you can finally stop normalizing what's not sustainable. Then we figure out what needs to change for your career to feel supportive again. That might mean setting boundaries at work, changing how you show up in high-pressure environments, preparing for a promotion or leadership role without overthinking, or making a strategic plan for your next move. And from there, we focus on helping you grow in a way that doesn't cost you your health to get there. So you can increase your income, step into leadership, and be respected for your work without your entire life revolving around your job. You deserve to feel successful and like yourself at the same time. If you're ready for support, DM me on Instagram at Jessica Lynn Rojas, or book a sales call at jessicalynn-wellness.com/scheduling. And if you want more of this straight to your inbox, join Dear Ambitious Women of Color. Link is in the show notes. Take care of yourself, career baddies. Vámonos.